Oh, hello again, everyone. Welcome back. Thanks for visiting once again. So I'm going to do something a bit different today. I suppose it's a sort of product review, but it's a kind of how-to as well. And it'll be on this thing here, which is called Cricut or Cricut. I don't know. Choose for yourself which one you want to call it. We'll talk about that in a minute. But this arises out of the completion I just showed off at the Ice Queen 7's Tuesday evening soiree. Of this FW190 A8, which I've completed in the livery of the Royal Air Force. And on this occasion, because I didn't have any decals, I chose to mask and paint the decals. Mask and paint the decals, mark and paint the markings. So I've done it in, as you can see, the livery of an experimental aircraft. And I quite like to mask and paint markings because they have an advantage of conforming very closely to the surface, of course, and if you want to, you can weather them as well. But as you can see, the lines just, the panel lines just show straight through. It's absolutely great. So if you've got a fairly detailed surface, you can see that very easily. The same is true here, of course. You've got several panel lines on that P marker there. P is for prototype, by the way. And obviously lines that go through there. And if you've got raised surface detail, that works well too. So you get a much improved result, I think, from that point of view. And I think that's a very nice thing to have. So where I can, I do this, and there are a number of options for doing this which don't involve this, and I'll go through one or two of them for you. But the first thing to say just quickly is about this A8. Now, some of you will recall that I acquired this A8 in an auction from the most excellent Nigel at Nigel's Modelling Bench, and he auctioned this off in association with Black Rifle Model Works. To the best of my recollection, it was for I think Models for Kids or something like that. It was a very worthy charity anyway, and I was pleased to part with some money for this, and I hope that I've done both this kit and the charity sufficient justice, as it were. Sorry, I keep knocking that pitot head off. I haven't done it this time, so that's all good. So that's fairly firmly in there. So I hope I've done it justice. But Nigel, I think I should single out for particular praise in this regard, because, as I say, he started this project off, and when I started to research the A8s, I thought, what a good thing to do a captured version so that you can see that here today. So let's just put that away for a minute, so then I won't damage it anymore. That's the chair squeaking, not my hips, by the way. Let's just put that away over there. So in terms of roundel markings, you've got a number of choices that you can do. You can use decals, and you can use all sorts of other things as well. Now, one of the things that you can use is something like this, and this is what's called one-man army. Now, once again, I was extremely fortunate to be able to get hold of this, and Nigel presented this to me, and these are the high definition stencil markings that are made by One Man Army, and they're made in kabuki paper, as you can see, and essentially what you do with these is you unstick them and then put them on the surface, and then you can then spray paint. Now, these are really very good, and they're about £25 a set, something like that, and it means that you can stencil in a variety of options. In this case, the spare one I've got here is N3277, which is a mid-range Spitfire from about July of 1940, I think, something like that, from dim recollection. I ended up doing DWK actually, which is that aircraft there. But as you can see, this, these kabuki paper things unstick very easily. Kabuki paper is a very good medium for doing this, because I mean the tack on the back of this is not very great, and you can de-tack it a little bit by putting it on your hand. One thing I have found is if the sections of the circular sections here, as you can see, there's one here that's quite close to the edge, these will stretch. you just have to be careful, and you have to use transfer paper in order to get this on. In particular, for these sort of fuselage roundel markings where you'll have a gold, a white, a red, and a blue, something like that. Moving inwards there. I think that's how it works. Gold, no, it's gold, blue, white, red, isn't it? There we go. Shows what I know, doesn't it? So these are particularly good, and I again I want to single out Nigel here and say thanks very much for that. I've still got these left over and I haven't used them yet, but I have actually have a Mark 1A, a Mark 1 early, in fact, Spitfire. I bought the Qatari one a little while ago. I don't know when I'll make it. I probably won't at any point in the near future. But when I do, guess what? I've got some markings for it, which is fantastic, and I'm very grateful. But what you can do is you can build your own masks with this piece of kit. Now, one of the advantages of a Cricut or Cricut, as if you want to call it that, is that not only can you let's just open up the old computer here. Not only can you make round markings, you can make square ones, all sorts of different things. You can make lettering, you can make stencil markings, all sorts of things like that. And it means therefore that you can let's see if this may work. I don't know, this may or may not work. So I'll just do some quick changes here, and see if we can get into this a little bit. There we go. So you can make all sorts of different things, and you've got a very good way of doing this. Now, I'm fairly new to this still, so we'll have to be a little bit slow, but you can save your own projects and so on and so forth. And I've got some things on here called My Stuff. Hopefully I can find, I got bookmarked things, projects. There should be something in here. There appears not to be at this stage. Quite what's happened there, I don't really know. I had two projects. Let's have a look at all. Well, that doesn't seem to have worked. Oh well, there we are. I did have two projects. I had one for the FW190 and another one for another project that I'm doing as well. And I'm going to do a third one, but for some strange reason I can't find that. Never mind. Let's go to new project. So with these bits of kit, it's quite easy to set things up. Now, what I thought I would do with this is to actually take a look at doing some masks for this here. So as you can see, 4 windows either side. We have a window there that's bulbous, so we can do something clever with that. I'll try and do something clever with that, and we can also do something with this, and then we can manufacture these window masks, and we can then stick them on, and therefore we'll be in a position to do painting when we need to. This is the Ice Queen's helicopter group build that I'm involved in, which this is coming along okay. It's going along not too badly, but we'll need to do some measuring up for this, and I've got my my splendid vernier for that, but I'm going to have to not use the digital bit because the digital measurement is actually quite inaccurate, so I'm going to have to just do an overall measurement approximately there. That needs to be, yeah. Now you see, because this window sits a bit above the surface there, I can bring the caliper blades onto this and I can get this really pretty accurate. So what I can then do with that is I'll put that down. I can then gently lock that, and now I can measure the distance that I need on this. So what we'll do is we'll measure the distance. Now, when you're doing measurements on a steel rule like this, don't start from the beginning there, because the beginning may wear. And what we can do there is we can start there and we can say, actually, it's 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter in diameter. So there we go. So what we can now do is we can have a look at some shapes, and we want a circle, and we can then say to ourselves, and this is centimeters, so we want 1 centimeter. There you go. It gives you a 1 centimeter circle. I can zoom in and make this a bit bigger if I want, so I can see it a little bit better, and we can move that just where we want it to go. So what we've got there is a circle mask. Now we could cut that, and this would give us a a shape that we could use, but what I'm going to do for the purposes of this is to interpose a square on the top of it. So that's 1 centimeter. So what I can then do is I can say 1.3 centimeters by 1.3, because this is locked here, and that gives us that there. I can then send that square to the back, and that brings that to the front. What I can then do is select all of these and align them, so I can go to center. That centers this up here, and I can then go down here and look at combine, and I can do all of these, but what I'm going to do is exclude, and exclude then tells the computer program that we want to put these two things together in that way. So what I now have is masks, and I can actually then say to myself, right, how many of these do I want? I'll copy and paste, and then we'll put that there. I can then copy again, as you can see, and then I can paste. So that gives me 4 masks. Oh, no, it doesn't. It's unbound them, but that's fine. That doesn't matter if I've unbound them. And let's just see if we can get those all together level. I can use my little arrows here to move this down in a very fine way, much less ham-fisted than my original one. I can still paste, and I've got those now, so I can pick that up. Oh, no, I can't. Let's select them. Oh, no, I can't. Let's told you I was new to this. So now I've now got 6 of these, so that covers my 6 windows, and that'll do that. What I can then do with, remember we want to have 6 flat, and now I want to have 1 to cover the bulbous one. Now what I'm going to do with that is say to myself, that's a 1 centimeter half sphere now, so I'm going to say this circle I'm going to make 1.5 centimeters, 1.5, so it's 50% bigger. And what I can then do is I can make a cut into this circle on the radius, which then allows me to then wrap the mask around this window, and I can then mask that window as well. So as before, what we'll do is we'll place a square over the top of it. So that was 1.5 centimeters in diameter. So what we'll say is that's 2, and because these are locked, remember we do all of our dimensions all at once. By the way, if you want to do an oblong, a rectangle, just unlock that there, and you can do different dimensions one from the other. So we'll send that backward. Now if we were being clever and better than me, what we could have done is done the square first and then a circle afterwards, but hey ho. So I'll select those and align them, and that's us sorted there. I was very nearly aligned there, and then I go down to the combine and exclude, and that gives me that. So I've now got that. I can now copy that and then paste that, and away we go. We've now got these 6 masks here. and that makes the job really very straightforward of making these masks. And let's see if we can just make that a little bit more level again. There we are. Now if we want to, we can also take a look at, if I've got the decal sheet here, which I thought I did have, we could make the markings. Give me a second while I find the decals. Right, here we go. Here are the decals for the Chinook helicopter. So I get myself seated again, and we can now look at these roundels. We could even look at this Royal Air Force sign. We might be able to do all of those. Let's see what we can do. So what I can then do here is I can look at carefully measuring this. In fact, actually it's probably going to be easier for me to measure it with a rule. So the blue is 7.5 millimeters. So what we can then say to ourselves is, we want a circle, and we want that to be 0.75. 0.75. So there we go, we've got that. We'll move that to there, and we can then say, what's our very small circle going to be? That's going to be absolutely tiny. It's 0.4, so it's less than half a centimetre. So what we'll do is we'll get ourselves another circle there, and we'll call that 0.4. 0.4. There you go. It's so small we could lose it. We'll put that on the inside there. Then we'll make ourselves a square. Put that over the top, and we'll call that it's 0.75, so we'll call that 1.25, shall we? And that goes down to that size there. Put that over the top of that. Same drill before, centre the back. Select them all, align them centrally. They're all centered and aligned now. I think that is right. I think I can just about see that. Let's now combine and exclude. There we are, look. So we now have our, I'll just zero in on that so that you can see. You can now see these, that's a roundel there we've got. We don't need to worry about the colours of this, by the way, because that's just there for the purposes of allowing us to see it. So I'll select that, copy it, and then paste it, and pick it up and put it down there. So now we've got this, the roundels, we've got our window masks. I'm not going to do the cockpit masks. I shall make them in the old-fashioned style, and to do all of these things, particularly with these, which are 0.4 of a centimetre, we might have some other alternatives that we could choose. We might try, for example, a Display circle cutter, and Display is a very good piece of kit, and you will have seen me talk about this before. That's the what you're talking about there, DSPIAE. It's a very, very nicely engineered piece of equipment indeed. Very, very good. But it's limited in terms of what you can cut when you come down to the very small shapes. So my limitation with the Cricut here is this width here, which, as you can see, is that, you know, that's my hand width. So that I can do this really very easily, and what we can, you know, what we can't do with Display, we certainly can do with this. And with Cricut and the software that you've got here, you've got all sorts of options for shapes and sizes and things. And what you can do with this is you can take oblong shapes or squares. A square can be an oblong, by the way. You can make it an oblong by unlocking the dimensions there, which are up at the top there, and you can merge shapes and you can intermingle shapes in order to create whatever you like. So if you wanted to make, for example, a German Luftwaffe black and white cross, you could indeed do that, and you might choose to do that by merging 4 rectangular shapes together, and then excluding a white band around them. You could do that very easily. So when I become more adept at this sort of thing, I may very well think about doing just that. But for now, what we've got is a situation where we can now start to begin to think about printing. I won't do the numbers and letters or anything like that, but I will do them again later on. But if you want to add text, that's pretty simple. That's down here. You can just add a text figure. In fact, actually, no, I will talk about that just a little bit. Text. I want a text box. Where do I find the text box? I've done this before, but I don't know. No, I can't find it. Let's undo, 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 undo that. Not quite certain where I get my text box from. This is because I'm slightly... Oh, there we go, there's the text. It's right down the bottom here. So let's see if we can move that up the way. Ugh. Let's move that up a little bit. Oh no, it's still not playing, is it? There we go, look. Text. So we've got text there, and what we could say to ourselves is, right, let's get clever here, shall we? Your text will now wrap. Click alignment. Okay. Let's undo that, and we'll. Oh, I've now deleted my piece of text. Let's come back to that. We'll say ROYAL AIRFORCE. Actually, we want to make a gap bigger between there and there. It looks like double spacing. And what we then want to do is to make that the right size in terms of the font. Now, how do we do that? We can look at the size of this font here, and it's 4mm high. So what I can then do is I can get a bit clever, and I can say to myself, font size 4mm tall, and type size conversion. Oh no, that's not what I wanted. What font size is 4mm? Let's have a quick look here. Font size 12 is 4.23. Font size 11 is 3.8. So we can go one between the other. So I'm inclined to go to 4.23mm tall. So height, and let's lock that and see if we can make this work this way. So that's 4.2. Oh no, that's got even larger. That's not what we wanted. No, I've come to a bit of a oh, that's gone. 4.2. There you go. I've done it the right way. Use the left hand, the width size here, and then what we can do is, that's not what I want. There we go. That is what I want. I want to try and move this now. There we go. So There we go, do that again. So what we can then say is, right, I want to copy that, paste it, and I'll just use the Johnsons here. That's probably going to be easier, isn't it? Well, actually it's going to take a very long time to do that, so we'll just do that. So now we have the basis of our symbols. We could indeed, perhaps, if we got very clever, create this. We can create the numbers, the ZA712, so we can paint everything that we wanted to. We can get as detailed as we like with this, and it allows us to be able to then use one or other of the wrappings, of the plastic wrappings. So that you've got some choices here on this. You've got a flexible stencil film. That's fairly highly tacky, so you would have to be careful with some paints. You might strip the paint off when you take this off. What I've started to use pretty much is the transfer tape. Now, the transfer tape does offer us something of an advantage, and the reason why it offers us something of an advantage is because it's transparent, and it's got grid lines on it. Which means that once you start to pull these things off the backing tape, you can use more transfer tape, or you can use some thin kabuki tape type stuff, you know, masking tape, and you can pull this off, and this vinyl stuff comes off very easily. It's very good, actually, and it allows you to be able to put the mask down, and because it's vinyl, it really doesn't stretch very easily, so you could make these things really quite large, and you wouldn't stretch anything very easily. So it's pretty bloody good like that, to be honest with you. So let's see if we can make this, shall we? Let's see what's happened. Let's save. We want to call that, we'll call that Chinook April 24. There we go, so we know when and where. Saving. I hope I don't lose it, actually. That would be annoying if I lost this one as well. How will I load the materials? I'll load without matte, confirm that. So there we go. We can see all of our things here that are going to be printed off, and we can review that. Yeah, that gives us what we want, and continue. Just connect the joy, and that's just going to do it. It connects via Bluetooth, so I'm right next door to it. Let's try putting Bluetooth on, shall we? That'll help, I suspect. There we go. So once it's connected, which it will do in a second, we can then do the next bit. Whilst that's making its mind up, which it's doing at this moment in time, I'm just going to put my caliper away over there, so we don't need to damage that. And see what we can, whether we can make this work. And you will see this thing operating. Da 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 da. I know what's happened. I didn't switch this Bluetooth on here, and of course it's now saying I don't know what to do. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll cancel. You want to cancel the cut? Yes. So we'll go back to that. Continue. So let's do that again, see what gives with that. As you know, I do these things all live, so that I think it may have found it. There we go. Set the base material. Excuse me. What do I tend to use? I think I tended to use Smart Vinyl Permanent. Yes, Smart Vinyl Permanent. So the blade is already installed, and it comes installed, by the way, so you don't need to, but it pulls out and goes in, and it has a special bit of electronics in it that recognise it. So then you have to simply carefully insert the paper up to the wheels, and it then decides when the material's right, and then it says click go, and away you go, and it will do the whole thing for you. It prepares it, and then it makes the cut. So let's just just move that just slightly that way so that you can see that a little bit more easily. And it's, as you can see, it's cutting the squares now, and it will just go through this process of making these cuts. Now hopefully I don't have too much of a problem with this, because actually what I've done here is this is slightly raised in the middle, this bit of paper. But we'll let it chunter away to itself, and as you can see, it's just over 58, 59, 60% of the way through, and we're not too far away from having this done. And you can hear the noise in the background here. I think the one thing I didn't do with the Royal Air Force symbols was to actually draw a square around them. So that's something that you should remember to do, and then do an exclude, remember. But we'll know that for next time, won't we? So you could, you're probably all out there in modelling land spotting my deliberate mistake, saying, for crying out loud, Zinners, why didn't you do that? But there we go. So 100% nearly finished. And there we go, and it should then release it and complete, unload, and there we go. So now what we have is we have these two these two RAF symbols here. So we do need to be careful putting the paper into the unit so that we get it absolutely flat, but what we have is a set of masks now that we can use, and we can put those straight onto the windows. We've got 6 small window masks and then 2 larger ones. So let's just take a look at that, shall we? What we'll do is get a pair of scissors and just cut away this here, and all right, put that down there. I'll just put that over there. I'll put that away in a minute, so I can shut the door there on that. I can also move the old computer out of the way and put that and shut that up there. And now we can start to look at getting some masks on board. And we can, with these masks are really pretty simple, I would suggest. We can just pull one off, as it were, there. So there we have a mask there. Just zero in on that so you can see that. Is that going to focus in for me? There you are, you can see that there. And we can then just simply take that and place it on pretty much however we need to. Is that just slightly overlapping? Yes, it's slightly overlapping. Just a tiny tad overlapping. So there's a mask. That's masked on there. So that's dead simple. We could do exactly the same with the larger one here, which is this little fellow to go on the bulbous. Oh, damn it! What have I broken off there? Ah. There you are. I've just broken the that footrest off there. That little footrest there I've just broken off, so I have to be more careful, don't I? So there we go. Anyway, at the risk of breaking anything else off and perhaps uttering horrid words, I'm going to say thank you very much for your time. This is a thing I think I'm going to use quite a lot. I can see myself using it fairly often, to be honest with you. I think it's a really excellent piece of kit, but in conclusion, I'd say you've got some choices. You can use a Display, you can use a Cricut, or you can use Nigel's Modelling Benches One Man Army excellent masks, and they're inexpensive. There are other masks available, but I think the One Man Army ones are probably the best on the market. In terms of accuracy, they're just brilliant. I mean, you'd have to go a long way to beat them, to be honest with you. So there we are. But I hope that was interesting for you. A bit of new technology there, something that, you know, given that I've used this, I think once or twice, maybe twice before, you can see that, you know, a numbnuts like me can do it. You'll be able to do it too. And I suppose this boils down to the line that I use from time to time, which is that if Zin can, you can. I wanted to say thank you very much, basically, as well to you all as well, for, well, not basically at all, just say thank you very much to you all for tuning in today, and thanks very much for your time, your subscription. Thank you very much. It's the nicest way of saying to me, look here, Zinners, what you do is interesting and I want to listen to it some more, so thanks very much. I do have a Substack as well, which I shall shamelessly promote now. If you're still here, thank you very much. Do go take a look at that. I write on my community page a little advice for people to have a crack at that when, you know, when they come out. Please ask any questions in the comments that you have. I shall do my best to answer them, and we'll take it forward from there, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next film. So thanks very much for tuning in, everyone. Take care. Bye bye for now.